My best quality is my unwavering allegiance to myself. I know who I am. If you don't or you can't figure it out.
Good morning. Hi, sorry I'm late. How is everybody? So I just got the cat settled. I've had a lot going on this morning. So we're going to start today with palate cleanser because this one's weird. This one brings me no joy to bring to you. However, we'll get into that in a moment. But I want to show you the toots. What's Charlie Adelson? Okay. I don't know anything about that. But let me just save. Hang on. So let's look at the cat because we're gonna need the toots. The toots. Hi, baby. Oh, it's only gonna be a second. She's gonna rip my face off. Hi, baby. Okay, no. All right. Look, I don't need to get on her bad side. So, okay. I think getting out your whoopee cushion. Not sure why. Did I misspell something? So this is going to be a weird one. Did I put publicity? Publicity. So these are everything that I'm going to talk about today is in the public. All this information is public. Oh God, I misspelled it. Damn it. Thank you. But all of this information is publicly available. And I want to ground this in a little bit of how I came to this case again, because I do think it's important to talk about and a little bit about my first experience with hidden true crime. Hidden true crime, and I say this pretty much every time I talk about them, is that I came to know them from their misreporting on Mr. Allen, Richard Allen case. And when they misstated that he was arrested for, or that he was called in for a domestic violence situation, and that was demonstrably false. And I mentioned that yesterday. And so I was giving them the benefit of the doubt. I reached out and I put a note like, hey, this is actually factually incorrect. Would you correct the record? Because I don't want to believe the worst. I don't jump to conclusions. But there was no response. And to me, that's very, very important when we're talking about a man's life. When we're talking about a psychologist who has told us that he's the expert here, to get something so wrong and to not go back and say, you know what? I misread that. I'm sorry. And Mr. Allen actually doesn't have any sort of violent history, because he doesn't. And so they didn't do that. And so I was like, okay, so this I guess is who they are. And I'm the kind of person that just in my life, in my reporting career, I believe, and I want to trust and believe until you give me a reason not to. And so then I was like, meh. But anyway, so I am, I've been skeptical since then. I don't consume their content. Hang on. I need to public. Am I not spelling this? Is online available in the public databases. So, but I want to make clear all of those things is that I actually, this one makes me feel a little gross. So I'm just making sure bugs as I live and breathe. So it's good to see you, and I'm not trying to build it up. I'm really not, but here's what I know. And here's what I found, and here's what I'm going to tell you. So I'm going to tell you what I found, and then I'm going to show you what I found. And let me add this. Well, and again, when a person places themselves in a position of power, they are subject to heightened scrutiny. And so jumping off of that Richard Allen thing, when you place yourself, Dr. John Matthias, as a person who has worked with offenders and scads, and that you're an expert and you get something so incredibly wrong, it is therefore then your responsibility as a professional to correct the record. And if not, then you're under a heightened state of scrutiny anyway, as it should be, right? So what I found out is that everybody's having the issues about the timeline of Mr. Matthias's education. And what we know, and what we all kind of know, is that, the man did go to Princeton. He got his bachelor's. He went on to get his master's degree at USC in marriage, and I think it was in marriage and family counseling or something along that line, in 1996. And variously, in various places, he's made the claims that he immediately started doing assessments. And he's claimed on many occasions on Dateline, on whatever, wherever you consume your Dr. John content. And so these claims have been made, seen precious little evidence of it. And so questioning his credentials, he got his PhD in 2006. So that's what we know. And so we all know that. Nobody's questioning that he has his degrees. What I am questioning is that he is putting himself in a position that he is a criminal forensic psychologist, and that he began doing evaluations from the moment he walked out of grad school. And that is impossible. So what I'm going to show you is publicly available information from the Clark County Assessor's Office, where it shows John Matthias and a woman buying a home together as joint tenants, not tenants in common. That this woman worked for the Andre Agassi Foundation and took in a lot of federal funding, which is not a problem. That's just something that happens. And I'll show you the 990s from that report. That this woman was licensed in 1982 in the state of Nevada as a marriage and family therapist. John was not. So I'm unclear how he started doing his clinical or his evaluation work. The Andre Agassi Foundation, which John name checks every chance he gets, did give a lot of funding to the, it's called FACT, which is the Family and Child Therapy of Southern Utah organization that got just a ton of money. And this woman remains a licensed licensed marriage and family therapist, and is very, very involved in on boards and all these different things. To me, my interpretation is that it sounds like she's doing all the things that John said he did. And again, this is all based on my opinion that I'm now going to present for you. And again, I want to make clear too that this is all deeply, to me personally, this is deeply problematic from a perspective of a public figure who has told us time and time again that he's just landed federal funds after federal funds. Now, again, that's going to make my ears perk up because, sir, I am here to tell you that that's the world I come from. And that also places a higher level of scrutiny on you as a result of that. So all of these things in mind. And so what we found out, what we have started to find out is that it seems like a lot of the actual clinical hours, and I'm going to talk about what the process is in Nevada to become a, not just a psychologist, but to be able to conduct clinical trials, or I'm sorry, to be able to conduct actual interviews. And that there is a crossover between, well, let me just get into it. Let me make myself smaller. So anyway, hi, everybody. Sorry, I'm just like kind of blazing through this. Questions, comments, anything? Oh my God, DB is here. Great. Strict scrutiny, strict in theory, fatal in fact. Yep. I have my theories, but I'm trying to bring forward the facts. Are there any X gems in the chat? I don't know. See an artwork tour in your house one day. Oh, thank you. It's my artwork. Some of it I put together, my husband's. Anyway. Anyway, so shall we? Ugh, gross, y'all. All right, let's just talk about it. So please stand by for one moment, please. Dear John, right, exactly. So I'm hoping that you can see this. So what we know, no, stop, not autoplay. Okay. So we know what he's told us about where he's from, right? So these are the things that we know are true. He was born in the suburbs of Chicago. That's where he famously fell out of a, what do you call that thing? His mom's car, and got run over by a semi-trailer, which doesn't pass the sniff test, but who am I to judge? So then he went to Princeton. We know that. Bachelor's degree. Yep. Played football. Then he went to USC, where he got his master's and then went on to get his PhD in general psychology. Now, this is not a bar to entry for forensic psychology. What is a bar to entry is clinical hours. And typically in the state of Nevada, now every state is different, but there's generally there is a general guideline put forward by the APA for what licensure looks like. And so here we go, right? So this is my assessment. Yep, he sure did. USC master's, yes. Counseling, sure. But marriage and family. And he got his PhD. Yep. It wasn't clinical, but again, that's not a bar to becoming a forensic psychologist. What is this bar? It lies in the clinicals, in the clinical hours that are logged, right? That is the thing. So, and I've seen no evidence presented that he is that he has any clinical hours to show. Here, I can only look at this from my perspective, and from a sort of, if we're looking at, and most people here are trial watchers, and we watch and we're invested and we listen to experts. And we listen to lawyers vet experts. I'm not suggesting I'm either of those things, an expert nor a lawyer. I'm not. But the inquiry is there. And so it's going through how much time you take to establish who is an expert and who is not. We have the Shannon Burgess. And so, you know, this is critically assessing the expert here. And I think that's okay, because this is, you know, presenting it yourself. Anyway, so where's all the clinical work? It was one of my big questions, because, you know, to do 500 exams and to do 500, or, you know, hundreds of evaluations in the, you have to be licensed. Okay, hang on. So I just pulled up. So here we have Las Vegas and Utah, Ski Utah. See the little skier right there that I put in for Ski Utah? So again, he's claimed all of these things, that he's been doing psychological evaluation since 1995 in Las Vegas. How's that possible? What is required? So in Nevada, I haven't checked Utah because I was just not walking down that road. You can have a master's in therapy to become a, whether it's like, typically I think of it as like a licensed clinical social worker. It's that kind of education. And you can then go and apply to become a licensed professional in that area. And in Las Vegas, that is the marriage, and there is an actual licensure that's separate and apart from psychology, where you become you see it here, it's an MFT. So there's licensed marriage and family therapists. And so let me know if there's any questions. I don't know. I'm not really paying attention to chat because I'm just trying to get through this. Let me make myself even smaller. Love me some mirror puffery. Yeah. So, generally the thing is that, again, to conduct these kinds of evaluations that he's claiming, he would at least have to have a marriage and family. So he'd have to have an LMFT. And the thing is that he doesn't and did not. And so this is the thing. There is the board that, let me see. So this is the LMFT and psychologists. So in the state of Nevada, here's what would have needed to be done in order, and we haven't even gotten to the part about being certified in forensic examination, because that's another level up that requires, in the state of Nevada, another course entirely, and a different board. So through the behavioral and public health department versus the board of psychologists. So again, this is all information that he's been given us. And I can't find that trail. And I've checked California, I've checked Utah. I see no evidence that he was ever licensed as a marriage and family therapist. So I'm like, how was he working as a marriage and family therapist? Because you must have completed, in the state of Utah, residency training in psychiatry, and so you're going to see the educational portion, and then you're going to see the must-have. So you have the ORs, and then you have the must-have. So the ORs are completed residency in psychiatry, or a graduate from a mental health degree in marriage and family therapy or psychology. So at the point when he bought the home with his, I don't know, maybe mentor, we'll get to it. He had a mental health degree. So he could have been licensed and pursued licensure as a licensed marriage and family therapist. Again, there is nothing in the database for that board, and I'm going to show you that here in a second, is that lives forever. Once you are, let's see if I can find it. Once you are, sorry, I'm going to do a little slipstream in here. Once you're licensed, it stays there. So this is the woman. We're fast forwarding, and then I'm going to go back, because this is the part where I first tried to establish, okay, well, maybe all of these things that he is claiming, maybe, it's, maybe he was licensed and did some internships and all these other things that are not clear. And so what I did was I just went to the, let me take my little face off screen because I got to come in. The alcohol, drug, and gambling counselors. Okay. So this is one database where you can look, and they're all in the Nevada State Board of Examiners. And all of this stuff is online. So what we can see up here is that this is the person that he bought a home with. We can see, well, but see, Boogs, I'm getting there. But yeah, he's claimed a lot of things. But the thing here is that if you can see that, I hope you guys can see that. If not, I'll read it. So this is the woman he bought a home, or that he was on a title with. I don't know what their arrangement was, or if she's family or what, but we'll get to it. It shows that she was issued a license in the state of Nevada in 1982. So these things exist out there. They don't disappear, right? And she has some additional licensures down the road, but still, this still exists. Here, I did the same search and was unable. There's nothing. There's no matches. This is a very simple search. Anybody can do it. So I'm like, okay, well, he didn't do any of that. I don't find any evidence. He could have all this experience. My point is, he could have all this experience and at least 2 years. And this is the other thing, at least 2 years of postgraduate experience in practicing. So there's no way that you walk out of a master's degree in counseling and walk straight into practice in the state of Nevada. I mean, unless somebody knows something I don't, and I don't claim to know everything at all, not even close. But I'm just like, I'm wrapping my head around trying to figure out, how could this person have practiced? How could this person have and said it? I mean, it's not that hard to find where the claims are made repeatedly by Mr. Matthias that he, has been doing evaluations for 30 years. I'm sorry, sir. That can't be true with the evidence that exists. Present. If I'm going to present my CV, am I missing something? It's bizarre. And to keep making these assertions, okay, so this is Maury. My father is deceased. Oh, I'm sorry. Mine too. And you can find his therapy license, right? In the So these things aren't scrubbed from the internet. They just aren't. And they aren't forged documents. I mean, the man has none of that. So I'm not questioning his educational credentials. What I am questioning is how he decided he was going to call himself variously a criminal psychologist or a forensic criminal psychologist or whatever. Those are the things that I cannot find any proof of. And I'm sorry, but if you're bringing the heat for, say, Mr. Richard Allen, who did not actually had no history of violence, and you're going to stand up there and pontificate about it, then you need to put your credentials forward. It's kind of like when we all found out that Brett Talley of the prosecutors had never prosecuted an actual case in a courtroom, right? You got to. You can't. To me, I don't understand how this gets this far. Dental Lori. Oh, he fudged his qualification. Oh, yes. Yes. I mean, look, this is, again, note, all of this information is available in the public databases. it's just, I don't see any evidence of that. And what I can share with you, just me, is that my friend from Oklahoma is a trauma psychologist, and she worked, this is another thing, she worked in the prisons, and she worked with veterans, PTSD, very trauma informed, very trauma centric work. And one of the things is that I know is that the prisons didn't shut down during COVID. They didn't shut down. That's not a thing. And Dateline should really have vetted that part of it. What they did do was shut down to social visits. What they did do was shut down to family members. I mean, even getting access to their loved ones in prison. What they didn't do was stop providing services to people that needed to be evaluated or whatever. I've done a lot of work in researching the prison system in my home state of Iowa, because I wrote a very long, exhaustive series on the whole situation. And this could be different in Nevada. Not an expert on that at all. My experience is that once a person is arrested for anything, they're sent to the medical and mental evaluation center. In Iowa, it happens to be in Mount Pleasant. And then you're basically sorted and spat out to a different facility. Same thing with Mr. Allen. There's a, I don't know the name of it in Indiana, but so, there's a sort and select sort of process that goes on. Those things people weren't not being arrested anymore. They just weren't. And televisits were a thing. And, people in prisons and people, those were also frontline workers. So to say that the prison shut down and therefore he became unemployed, it doesn't ring true to me, just based on what living in the world and knowing what actually happened. And I don't know. It's feeling kind of, and so all of this is to say, I don't know how in the hell this man got his hours. And so this brings me back to the most uncomfortable part of this for me is the joint tenancy. Oh God. Yuck. Hang on. So let me see if I can just recap quickly. Right. So allegedly innocent. Hello. It did not shut down access. Right. PhD psychologist considers absolutely he would have access. And if not, certainly my God, that's when telemed. So none of it passes the sniff test for me. It doesn't. And I hadn't considered it. I hadn't considered how impractical what his claims were about all of his experience, let me be clear, about his clinical experience, about his therapeutic experience, until I started going through the documents where he diagnosed our friend Christina. And I say our friend Christina because basically he's doing this to everybody that they trot through their podcast. He's making these declarations by fiat that these people have X, Y, and Z going on in their mental health. And that's irresponsible to me. It's gross. So, it does not pass the sniff test. So again, this brings me to the portion. Now, what are two of the things when I'm thinking through this and when I'm doing this? What I'm going through is, what else has he said? He's very, very proud of the work that he did for the Andre Agassi Foundation. Bite my bits. Hello. If you have a question, just put like a giant red question mark or some shit in front of it. Has anyone checked his record with the board lately? I understand another licensed psychologist filed oh, I don't know. He's licensed in the state of Nevada and in Utah. Hey, Kresha. He was exploiting Lori and assessing her as she was moving through incompetency, claiming was unable to work in prison. Yeah, I know. It's and that's another thing too, is that seeing what hidden true crime has done to victims is pretty gutting, actually. It's gross. It's disgusting. Do something different, right? Literature. Pause for the ambulance. Did you look at Utah yesterday? So let me go through the chat for a moment. Sorry, I've just got to plow through this. Doctor title. Ugh. And the other thing that we learned, right, that I'd learned, and maybe people knew it, but that Trisha was the one that told Lauren, well, you've got to refer to him as doctor. And you know what? I'm going to take advice from Trisha Griffith, right? Jesus Christ. I mean, that, ugh. So Krusha says, my thing is him and Lauren had a shit fit and shamed Christian for checking into his, who's Christian? Oh, Christina. Yeah. Here's the thing though, right? Like that, we get to do that. Do you know how much time I spend checking people? And again, I've stepped away from the reporting part of it, but man, oh man, the amount of time that goes into checking somebody out, vetting somebody, going through a vetting process, which is why I'm like with Dateline and all these other outfits. Did nobody do? And if they did, where is that evidence? Right? Where's that evidence? And the thing is, again, when you put yourself out there, you are going to be under scrutiny, sir, ma'am. You just are. And say it, don't spray it. And it felt like, I don't know. Listen, it's gross. So anyway, so what I found out, and if somebody else can find out otherwise, I am happy to take a look at it, because again, they have given us all of this information and expect sentient beings and critical thinkers to not do something with that information, right? Just like filing a civil stalking injunction, the expectation was that nobody would look into these claims. And that is not how people, at least not how this people exist in this world. If you tell me something and I accept it as true, and I find out, it's like, oof. So I see no evidence where he was ever licensed as a therapist in Nevada, where he told us he went directly. So he went straight on to Nevada and got a, in one of the lives, he said that his first job was, quote, moonlighting at a place called Safe Nest. And it's a battered woman shelter. And that's awfully far in the past history for the Wayback Machine and all that other stuff to support that claim. But I think that I have made that connection with the woman he bought a house with, who was working for the Agassi Foundation, who got a ton of federal funding and gave some of it to some good, absolutely good causes, including Safety Nest and the place where John would go on to work. So I was pretty stunned when I found out he had, this lady friend. And again, I don't know, man, if they were romantical or not, but they certainly owned a house together. So let's do this. Let's do the timeline, right? Okay. Says he begins clinical work. Really? Because what? Again, sort of explored that. No, there's no record that I could find. Now, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It means it's not available. Yet we do know that there's, as Maury said, her father, who is dead, still has his name in the database in California. So, so then he claims his first job was at a place called Safety Nest. Okay. So Safety Nest, when we go to it, and this is just the only thing that I could find on the way back. I'm sorry, Safe Nest. And actually, they have come under some fire recently, apparently. And you should check out the local journalism on this. I think it was the Las Vegas Journal Review. There's some issues with this place. And that's not to suggest that there were issues when and if John worked there. But it's a counseling place. And it's a domestic violence shelter, which causes me, it gives me the icks, frankly. It kind of does. As a woman who went through DV, didn't have to flee with her child. It gives me a little bit of the icks that there was some overnight work going on here. I don't care for it. So again, so this is going back in the database. You can see here the woman that he purchased the home with in a joint tenancy. And I keep saying that, and there's a reason I do, but her license shows up. So at this point, I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe, yeah. And I don't see anything any publications at all. Which is like, I don't know, man. I guess I just, weird. You'd think you'd be publishing left, right, and center, but I don't know. What do I know? I'm not a PhD at all. I'm not even any of those things. So let me, I'm trying to find the file, the redacted file, because this woman didn't ask to be put on blast. Well, you know what? I mean, the people that have the, let me see. I'm just pulling it up. Please stand by. Talk amongst yourselves. Oh, it's actually a PDF. Sorry. I'm going to have to do this. Okay. So, all right. This is from the Clark County Assessor's Office, and this is again, all of this shit's publicly available. So let me just go over here. So to put that down. Okay, so you can see this is where this is sourced from, parcel ownership history, right? And so people saw this when Janet Wolford paid off Trisha's back taxes. We saw how you can find these publicly available documents. You go to the county assessor or the county recorder, and it shows you the history of a piece of property. And so what I was able to find is that when he said he came to Las Vegas and started doing all of his stuff straight away, well, I could find, so starting to let me back up. When I try to substantiate people's claims, I try to find the information that supports those claims. So I go to the database to see, hey, did he have a house? Did he have a whatever? And sure enough, he did. But it was with this woman. And so I've redacted her name, but it's going to come up later. So, and she's the one that's the licensed marriage and family therapist. And she was a licensed therapist at that point. So maybe he did an internship or something. But again, I can't find any history of him That's typically reported somewhere, or because he makes another claim about working at the VA, which again, there's no record of that. He may have done some sort of pupillage or some sort of internship, but again, those are typically still on record. I'm having difficulty finding any of that. It doesn't mean it didn't happen. So I found that, and so in July of 2000, he entered into a joint tenancy. Now, this is significant only because joint tenancy, there's two different kinds of things. There's joint tenancy, and I actually studied this, so I know a little something about this part of the law, and it's the boring part. But there's a joint tenancy, and then there's tenancy in common. And typically, tenancy in common would suggest that your business partners, like somebody gets a 70-30 split, right? So let's say me and somebody wanted to go into whatever. We would then file as tenants in common. That does not, importantly, when I'm thinking through this, that does not confer the right of succession upon one or the other's death. So that there isn't that beneficial interest on the back end. Whereas joint tenants are 50-50 split. They're equal owners. And typically these are used in private relationships, familial relationships. So, when you see the JT, right, that's joint tenancy. And I did find that initially, let me see if I can find this. Initially, God, I've got so many notes, sorry. Where'd it go? Damn it. I did find a document that he and this woman first entered a tenancy in common, but then went back and scratched. Here it is. Let me just make sure that, yikes, hang on. Let me remove this for a minute. Let me remove that for one moment. But I'm trying to find the exact part. Grant sale. That's actually not it. Sorry. So this is what I'm looking at, and I'm not going to put this up because it's not redacted. Is that the property that I just showed you the assessor's page from was sold in, and once I redact this, I'll give it to All Eyes or something. But it was sold in 2004, it looks like. So, and that was, let me pull up again. Sorry, this is a lot. And as people say, like, subscribe, whatever, because I guess this is a lot of work. Thumbs up. Nice. That's nice. So let me put this back up for a moment. Damn it. Oh. I don't know if this is going to be as important, but I just want to show that there was a conscious effort to go back and correct the assessor's record to be inclusive of the joint tenancy versus the versus the tenants in common. And that to me, so you know what, I'll find it, but it's out there in the world. But what that says to me, and the reason why I think that that was interesting to me, is that when you see somebody do that, make a conscientious effort, you know, the only people I'm going into a joint tenancy with is like, I mean, I don't even know if I'd go into joint tenancy with family. I mean, shit. But, and you know, and I'm talking about family aside from a spouse, but it just shows, to me, it just says that there was a relationship. I don't know if there was, but I don't know. Looks like it. So let me go back and look at chat. I'm not looking at chat. Sorry. I mean, welcome to my nightmare, Kelly Cal. Right? I've never thought about it either. Because no, thank you. Let's see. Hey, Ola. Good to see ya. Who else is here? Tobeans. Hello. So I just, you know, hey, ATS. He never mentions his work experience. He just sources books. Right. I would encourage everybody to go watch the live stream I did where I actually referenced a book that had an article of mine published in it about teen residential treatment programs. Sorry, that was snotty, but you know. Hi, Aaron. Hello. Let's see. Oh God, go back to the beginning. What are we talking about? Yeah. Ugh. Sorry, I'm just looking through your chitty chats. Oh shit, I'm not even showing your comments on stage. Oh my God, you guys, I'm so sorry. But actually, I might not be able to do that because I need to focus. So now we move into the Andre Agassi of it all, because that's the other thing. So I've looked into his licensing for the time period, and there is none. And we've established that through just cross-referencing, that if you were a licensed marriage and family therapist in the state of Nevada, it would be there in perpetuity, because his housemate was licensed in the state of Nevada in 1982, as I showed. He's got a PhD. So, you know, he's got a PhD. Crush, I called you back. Yeah, so he has a PhD, so for sure, you know, but man, I don't know. You're not a doctor, right? So that's the other thing. It's like, okay, man. All right, that's fine. So let's look at Andre Agassi. And this is where, unfortunately, his housemate's going to get outed, because again, this isn't publicly available 990. So we have Andre, and people in the chat, while I'm looking through this, please put in the chat where we first heard this. I think it was actually in one of his dissertation. He thanks the Agassi Foundation. And I'm like, that's weird, because he doesn't come up as being employed by them. But what does come up, actually, let me do 990s for ProPublica. I mean, I have this printed, but it's easier to go through it online. So Andre Agassi Foundation. So you can go to ProPublica or irs.gov, and anybody that is a nonprofit organization has to file a 990. Okay. And that's just because you are more accountable, because you're getting shit. And there's tons of them, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just what it is. So all to say, this is publicly available. So the Andre Agassi Foundation is, I mean, Agassi is from Vegas, so it makes sense that he would do good works in Vegas. So I go through, when I review these things, I look for who's on the board, where are the grants going to, and what can that then lead me to go on and find. And so let's see. So this is the first year when they were just getting their feet under them. I think it was the first year. And so you can see that there's all of these things must be documented. So you're setting it up. And then you have there's usually trustees or key employees. If employees get paid, many times they don't, because they're serving on a nonprofit charity board. So you can go through this list. And I'm here to tell you right now that this person, who is the project director for the Andre Agassi Foundation in 2000, is the one that is on the joint tenancy with John Matthias. So did he work for the Andre Agassi, or did he get funding through the Andre Agassi Foundation? Oh shit, did I not pull this up? God damn it, I'm so sorry. Hang on a second. Fuck. You're like, wait, hang on. Damn it. Share screen. Sorry, y'all. I'm just rambling on. Do this again. Please stand by, idiot on the move. Okay, here we go. So this is from ProPublica. And again, this is all online. We've got down, when we're talking about the Andre Agassi Foundation, he makes hay out of it, and that he was involved in that. What I do know is he doesn't show up as a key employee. He doesn't show up as any of those things in anything that I've looked at thus far during this time period. And that actually is okay. One thing that did strike me, though, is that the woman who, again, is on the title as a joint tenant to that, that particular piece of property in Las Vegas, was actually working for the foundation. So could he have gotten funding through that? Sure. That to me is a bit of a stretch. I do think that it's interesting, and I do think that my concern, or one of my thoughts here, is that, well, not even that. It's like, okay, whatever. Their relationship was whatever. But I do think that, if they were in fact just, maybe it was a lavender setup. I don't know, allegedly for fun and entertainment purposes. It could have been an arrangement. It could have been just a joint venture to get invested in the market. But the connection that I am starting to see, or the connection that seems to be before my face, is that Dr. John has absorbed this woman's life. Allegedly. Again, listen, all I can tell you is what I can tell you. I'm just going to say it. They were both. Oh my God. Oh, no. No. Ugh. Thank you. Put a thumbs up in the chat, or put a thumbs up on this video if you, I don't know, if you appreciate all the bullshit that went into this. And I might have to go lay down somewhere after all of this because it's a lot. So let me bring one other, let me see if I can load this now. Thanks. I mean, this is what I do, or this is what I did. So this is how, I went back and go back to some of my earliest work, and it was tracking down people who got federal funding through 990s. It's boring as fuck, but I tell you what, no, I didn't. I did not see it, but I can't pull it up right now, Indy Cindy. Can I? I don't know. But I'll look. I haven't been on there for a while. Yay! Welcome aboard. Hybrid Pisces. Thank you. That's great. Well, I hope, I'm going to try to make some supercuts of all of these for members only because, woof. Thank you. Links on John. Okay. Well, I will look at them. Indy Cindy. Thank you. I'm not ignoring anybody. So what do you guys think so far? Right? I mean, we're not even halfway there. So I think we're doing pretty good. An hour and 15 minutes. Okay. So again, the other thing I want to point out at this juncture is that considering that Mr. Matthias, yes, you can. I'll look later today, Indy. I'm sorry. I am not on there a ton, but you can always email me, Andy at andykopsa.com. And I try my best to check that. So what we're going to see here then is so I'm like, okay, so he name checks Andre Agassi Foundation. Got it. He name checks Safety Nest, right? So got it. Then he also, the only real information I can find on his work history is from the place I mentioned in the upfront called, Family and Child Therapy, or FACT, of Southern Nevada. And this is important, at least for my research purposes, is that, let me see if it's on this one or the 2002 one. So UNLV Foundation, New Horizon. So another thing too is when you're looking at these, so this is like a government fund. So the Agassi Foundation absolutely was a pass-through organization. So that's another thing. So if he's riding the coattails of a sub-grant, get the fuck out of here. I'm sorry, get the absolute shit out of here. Unless you crafted the document to secure this grant, see yourself to the door. That to me is that's bullshit. Sir, because you don't show up in any of the fucking databases. I don't know why that's the one that makes me so mad. It's like, don't make up shit. Ugh. So yeah, can you claim that you got funding? Yeah, kind of, because you worked at this place that your roommate was look. Makes me crazy. But the point of this is that the foundation is a great foundation and does a lot of good work. And the lady on the joint tenant with John Matthias is a program director. And as we'll see here, and this is the 2002 one. Can you still see it? God, am I doing something wrong? Let's see. Okay. Okay. So, okay, this is the other one. So this is where we're going to see the Andre Agassi Foundation detailing where they gave money. Okay. Assistance League, Boys and Girls Club, Inner City Games, Educational Organization, mentoring, blah, 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 hospice, whatever. Okay. So you can see where this money is going. And you see here, family and child treatment. Okay. That is the place that Dr. John was an executive director of in 2006. So did the place that eventually he would go work with, or maybe he was working here, but we can't, but again, that's not knowable because there's no existing evidence that suggests that except his word. And at this point, I don't trust his word. Why would I? I mean, you can, but I don't, because he's given no indication that he should be trusted through observations over the last whatever of their just getting shit fundamentally wrong about Mr. Allen pre-trial. It does whatever. I don't believe a goddamn thing this guy says. So this is the first inkling that so what I'm doing is trying to pull together what makes sense to me. So what makes sense to me so far is that John Matthias has pulled together a bunch of half-truths or truths that were adjacent to him. Again, keep in mind, this is the man who fell out of a semi-trailer, or I'm sorry, he got run over. I'm sorry, it's hard to keep these things straight. The bison parted the ways, all of these things, right? So that's what this is the person that I'm supposed to entrust my mental health direction from a platform with well north of over 300,000 followers. No, I'm not going to do that. You can, they can, but no. Oh, Kelly Kell. Anyway, so let's get back to this, right? Let's get back to Brad Pitt. Sorry, I just cracked myself up. Let's see. Where is that data? Because then in 2003, I think they really get their feet under them. And I'm showing you this to show, again, just that the connection to his housemate or his joint tenant to federal funding to a place that he told us he worked and that we can actually find evidence for in the public record that he worked for fact. Okay. So all of this is like, to me, how he got to where he did, how he put all of this together in his mind and decided that this was his origin story. So more money goes to UNLV. Shit, I can't remember the other one. Let me see if I can pull up. Well, all to say that there's plenty of this. So you guys can go look that up. But there was money. Andre Agassi Foundation was a pass-through organization for a federal grant through probably, if I had to guess, TANF, which is a temporary assistance to needy families grants that were really, really popular. So that makes sense to me. Did he get a public grant? Did he secure grant funding? He would show up like as a consultant, as something. Was he paid by federal dollars? Probably, but that's different. It's just, Yeah, it just doesn't, docket decoder said something like all speculation and speculation skewed to align with his own experience whenever possible. Yeah. And docket decoder's coming out of retirement, by the way. He sent a little nice note that said, you've inspired me. And I'm like, thank you so much, sir. Hey, yo. And yes, free Ricky Babe. Hi, Cranks. So this is all connected to me. And I think that it's pretty obviously connected when the pieces are put together. Let me see if I can bring this back up, because where was I going with this? Let's see. Let me put this back up. Actually, I found it. Hang on a second. Grant bargain sale deed. Okay. And this is just straight up speculation, but I have this horrible feeling. Ugh. Well, no, I'm not even going to come to that conclusion. I'm going to let you all come to your own conclusions. Oh, thanks for joining it. Hello. Oh my God, you gifted 5. Thank you so much. That's so sweet. Thank you. And again, thank you. Thank you, Hybrid Pisces. I appreciate that. Hopefully I do you solid. So, oh, hello. Oh, doctor. Okay. You know what? You were really helping it. You're really helping. TANF money is highly regulated. Yes. Yeah, so it is. And the thing is that Dr. Macy, is that back in 2000, the Andre Agassi Foundation was a pass-through of TANF grants, and the TANF grants went to, and I'm saying this I'm making statements out of school. So I don't know if it was a TANF grant. That's my assumption, because that's right around the time period when those things really started coming into full effect under Bush 2, Electric Boogaloo. TANF is the Temporary Assistance to Needy Families grants. And so those are, pass through. So the Andre Agassi Foundation was a pass through. And one of the, and again, the woman who John was a joint tenant a joint tenant with in his property for 4 years in Las Vegas, was the program director for the Andre Agassi Foundation. None of this is bad. And I want to make that clear. So none of this is bad. What it is revelatory to me. Somebody needs to get ATS up to speed, because, hey, grew up on a farm in Iowa. Me too. Have a CDL. Didn't need either to know mufflers aren't. Thank you. Yes, mufflers aren't under a semi. Also, Iowans. Goddamn right. Ride in the back of the pickup. Open your eyes. I'm from, yep, me too. Farm. The last thing you want to do is mess around with ladies who grew up on farms. So thank you. Yeah. The thing is that this is, again, where I come from is researching this kind of garbage during my reporting career. So unfortunately, I just have that particular set of skills, if you will. So this, let me see. So this lends that credibility to me, and I'm going to keep saying that, but it lends a credibility, and it gives a background story that's plausible to his own mind, I guess, because again, I think I've made myself clear on that, but I want to show Dr. Macy educational charter. So then this is the UNLV Foundation, women's tennis, educational boys hope, miscellaneous charities, Opportunity Village. Let me go back to previous year, because this is the one where And the way that people can tell that there's federal funding is because you have to straight fucking state it. So Andre Agassi Foundation got $439,000 in public grants, government contributions. Okay, so that's how we know. And if I wanted to, or if you wanted to, you can go back into the federal database and find this grant and how it was given. In order to find out who actually wrote the proposals, you would have to file a FOIA request. I've done it. It's a pain in the ass, and you might not get anything that you are hoping to get anyway. But do it. Do it, ladies. So, all right. So what do we got? We've got, right, summer camp, I have dream, Alzheimer's. Another one, Las Vegas District Attorney's Office. I don't know. I mean, Dr. John claims that he did a bunch of work for, not just various courts, but, he actually mentioned and name checked the AG's office, which honestly is the easiest thing to search, but we'll get there. So the first batch of money came through. Oh, now see, here's another thing too. I forgot SafeNest. So this is another thing, is that money went to SafeNest and to the Child and Family Treatment Center. These are two places that John clearly identifies, and I've not been able to verify he was at SafeNest, but we know that he was at Family and Child Treatment Centers, right? So, I mean, unless this is another Family and Child Treatment Center, but I don't think it is, because I don't think it is. So we see two of the organizations that John, stand by for ambulance. That's actually a fire truck. That two of the organizations that John worked for being funded through the Andre Agassi Foundation with federal grants, for which his joint tenant is serving as a project manager for. Again, none of this is nefarious. It's the fact to me is that it's remained hidden, if you will. Yes, a semi-trailer. Well, and that's just the thing. So Indy Cindy, that's a great question. Was he doing internships? Who the hell knows? He would have had to have had, so let me go back to this. Let's get back to Brad Pitt. Sorry. Let me bring this back up, because the thing is that if he were doing internships, from what I am able to gather in the public record, is that there would be some sort of licensure needed. So let me put this back up. There, you would need to be a licensed mental health. I'm sorry, a licensed. Let me get this out of the way. Let me move myself around. Put myself down lower. So he would have had to be licensed to, and there's several different levels of licensure, and I kind of went through a few of them. Let's see if I can get this to go. So that's SafeNest. Hang on. Oh, we'll get to that in a second. So in order to do an internship, he could have potentially operated under, there's nothing in the record, but what I do know is that my thought process was he mentioned that he worked for the VA. Again, I can't see any record of that. Could he have done an internship at the VA? Certainly, but that's not working there. That's a different thing altogether. Then you would say, I had an intern, I did my internship. But I can't find, and that, so that's the thing. It's like he has the educational credentials, but, oh no, this is another thing too I want to bring up. So he has educational credentials that would allow him to have all of it, to be able to do all these things. But the step that's missing is that the critical part of the clinical hours. Could he have done it in California? I mean, I guess, but I don't see that. I don't know. Maybe he did. Maybe. But again, I'm not taking his word for it. I'm just not, because based on what I'm seeing. So the woman who he was, her name's Fran, and actually somebody put, I think she's probably out there in the world. Again, don't anybody, please, God Almighty. Look, I provide public information for a public service, not to go wild and out. And I don't think that anybody that watches me would do that. But she was actually a licensed marriage and family therapist from 1982. So, all of these things are required to become certified. So could he have done an internship? So Dr. Macy says, I got the same master's. I was not licensed during my internship, and I don't think my internship is on record anywhere besides my CV. Right. So that's a great point. It wouldn't be. So my feeling is that he was interning. Ugh. I mean, he was interning either somewhere in California or, but the thing that weirds me out though is that he claims to have come into, not even weirds me out, that doesn't compute. Yep. Indy Cindy, please don't put her actual, I don't like to be, I'm going to delete that. Sorry. I just don't like being the person to out somebody. Even though she's on all the public documents. So anyway, so that leads me to think that, and I'm sorry, Indy, but that's just me. So he says that he came straight to Vegas and started his evaluations. And I don't think that is something that is possible straight out of a master's program. So that's the other thing. So I think he probably allegedly innocent. Right. So he wouldn't be granted. I know, Indy Cindy, it just makes me uncomfortable to have her name in the chat. Oh, it's on his research paper. Thank you. I didn't know that. Okay. Well, there you go. That's interesting. How the hell did I not know that? Is that from his? Well, because I don't. This is why it takes a village. Thank you, Indy Cindy. I didn't realize that. My apologies. What? Oh. So hang on. Hate that okay. So my ADHD. Okay. So anyway, I just am having trouble. Yes. I don't know, man. Okay. Thank you, Indy Cindy. Again, I'm just wackadoo. I didn't realize that. What was the time period on that? What was that for his PhD? Or was that for a master's? Did he do a master's dissertation? I don't know. That actually sounds like a porn name, Dr. Polkinghorn. Okay. This is Anyway, so let me go back to my presentation. So yes, he was in a joint tenancy with this person from 2000 to 2004. Again, publicly available. So he claims that his first job was at Safety Nest, found that, but there's no record of that employment record. I wouldn't expect to see that. He very well could have done his internship there. I have no clue. So maybe back in 1996, he had an internship, which is entirely possible. But again, how in that you wouldn't, I don't think, walk straight out of a master's. Now the only yardstick I have for this with a master's is my niece is a licensed clinical social worker. And so all I know is that she wasn't doing shit out the gate. She was doing on the job actual training, and maybe it's just different, and different states do different things. So I don't know from that perspective, but it just it seems to stretch my credulity here, or to stretch his credulity to suggest that, trust me, bro. So anyway, so at some point, I don't know if and maybe Dr. Macy, if you're in the chat, you can confirm this or not. I don't know if you have to live on campus for your PhD, or if this is something that can be done remotely. I'm not exactly sure. Wait, what's the same? Sorry. The master's was for family stuff, right? So let's get to that point, right? How exactly is he a forensic psychologist? Well, what's the same? I'm sorry, allegedly. I don't know what you're referring to. I haven't been aggressively watching the chat. Okay, so you don't live on campus. You don't have to live on campus, I would assume. Maybe it's low residency. Anyway, but again, places sometimes have, like, let me get to the guidelines for, or I'll just give you the summary of the guidelines that are available on the Board of Psychologists website for the state of Nevada. Again, varies state to state, but some places to get licensure have a component where there has to be a certain amount of time on campus. Now that might be if you're doing a certain kind of psychology. That may be any number of reasons. But what we know is that he has a psychology PhD, but I don't think that he has any sort of forensic. I would expect to see some forensic work, and what the state of I almost said ski Utah, but what the state of let's get over here. Okay, so let's move on to the certified forensic examiner portion of this nonsense. This is exhausting. He's exhausting. They're exhausting. So this is from, UNLV, right? And again, listen, Grayson, it is not wrong to want to dig into somebody's background when they give you the background and speak with their full throat from a place of absolute authority. And that is what they've done. Okay. So I just want to get that out there. And all of this, as you see the scroll across the bottom, this is all public information, in my opinion, based on all of my research. And that's it. So it's not my fault. It ain't my fault it lives out there. So UNLV, right? So this is where I was like, what in the ever-loving mother of Christmas trees is a certified forensic examiner? Well, I'm like, surely there's some paper on that. Surely UNLV has some record of that, right? Or not even UNLV. I don't even know if it's on UNLV to vet this, but my God. What I do know is that in Nevada, to become a certified psychologist, to conduct forensic examinations, you have to take a training program. And this could be, and this goes for if you're a licensed clinical social worker, or if you are a I think there's maybe for psychiatrists, there might be an exemption, but I'm not exactly sure on that. But anybody, so a master's level on up to a PhD level, you have to take this training. And then you have to, before you even apply. So when you go and you show up online, and this form is, in the way that I got to this was through another thing that he said. He said, I worked for something about, the AG's office on attorneys on behalf of the AG. And I'm like, okay, well, that's easy to find out. That's easy to find out. In 2021 and 2022, I went to see who the AG was, and lo and behold, the AG is still the AG that they are now. And I was like, I was just running through the list. I'm like, okay, so well, let's see if they have a list of certified forensic examiners. Well, no, they sure don't. But you know who does run that? It's not the psychology board. What it is the board of behavioral and public health. And they have a special dedicated licensing program. And it's not actually a license, it's a certificate where you can go, or where you do go. And let me see if I can pull it up. Where you pull up and where it has the outline for how you go about doing this. And again, this is not on the this is not on the behavioral, I'm sorry. This is not on the psychology, the Psychologist's Board of Examiners website. This is on the, it's called the behavioral health. It's called the behavioral health, behavioral and public health. So let's see. So you have to go to that. Let me just do this. Boop. Stop screen. I'm just showing to show where you can go and look this up. Okay. So, all right. So let's see. So this is Division of Public and Behavioral Health. And you can go up here and give it a bing and look for, what did he call himself? I forgot. Certified Forensic Examiner. So let's just see what this has to say. Hang on, certified. So examiner. Can't remember how I got to this last night. Damn it. Okay, here we go. So you have to fill out your certification as an examiner for competency. Now, that's the only thing that I could find for any sort of certification program. Now, is there another way to do it through Nevada? Maybe, but I went again to the AG's office, Nevada AG. Here he is. Name check this guy. And I was like, forensic, or what did I do? Examiner. This is how the sausage gets made. Okay. There's various forms. Chief financial need. So, when he name checked this, when he made reference to the AG, I'm like, certainly they have a list, but they don't. And I don't know if he was saying that he did. There's digital forensic. Okay. Nope. Statewide substance abuse reporting work group, advisory committee. Can't find it now. Maybe I had it on my other tab. Well, accountability for family planning. I don't know why I can't find it right now, guys. Sorry. I thought I had it pulled up. My thought, yes, this is it. So this, if you go, this is actually, I found this on the AG's website, and it led me to the Department of Health and Human Services website, Division of Behavioral and Public Health. And so, there is just, you have to have one of these. You can be licensed clinical social work. You can be all these things. Attend and complete a course of training according to this chapter and verse. So when you do, you have to do all of these things. So you have to go through the training. You have to do all that shit before you even apply. And it says it's part of DPBH's obligations to certify evaluators for the court. We will maintain a list of certified evaluators and provide it to the courts and attorneys. The list may also be posted on our website. I was not able to find that. But it is possible, for sure, that this gentleman is certified to conduct all of these things. We got to take his word for it, though, because we don't have to take his word for it. If somebody else can find it, great. So what are you guys saying? Thoughts, hopes, feelings? Allegedly innocent is confused. Yeah, me too. And it could be because me. But yeah, so again, there is no question as to his, to me, the questions aren't about his education. That seems pretty straightforward. But, there needs, in my opinion, to be a higher level of thoughtful scrutiny here. And it's the thoughtful scrutiny. It took me a while to put this together. And I had trepidation about coming forward with his shit because I didn't want to put Fran on blast, but I didn't realize she was listed on whatever. Sorry. Well, I'm not sure his license is valid through, I think, fall 2026. So well, and this is the thing. So seems like a huge ATS says lack of experience shown and a lack of paper trail. And that's why I think that at least in my observation in consuming, and I try not to consume their content because they make me crazy. But, after all the shit that the jet stream of bullshit that came out about Mr. Allen, that was so demonstrative, it would like, just go back and correct the record. Where are the ethics of a journalist, let alone a psychologist? Shit, man. I assume people are willing to admit when they're wrong. Like, if all of this is just straight bullshit for me, I will come up here, I will say, you know what? I was wrong. because I'm always wrong. But to not back off of something so easily disproved as whether or not Mr. Allen had a violent history really takes a fucking sack. And I would like to think that I am being very judicious in my use of Effenheimers here, because it would be really easy to do that. Let me see what this says. Has anyone seen the FOIA Bright Breakfast is found? Does that figure into the rest of this? I don't know what Bright Breakfast is found. I don't really know where that's at. In Utah. I think he is a backdoor in Utah. Probably. They might have reciprocity. Nevada doesn't, though. So Nevada, if I'm remembering correctly, I don't think was a reciprocal state. So you had to get licensed there. I mean, I think that it's kind of like, you know, pro hoc vice, or in the legal world, or any of that. Yeah, it's just an alternative route. Right. So it's just a different way to the waterfall. So if you're already credentialed in one state, you can typically just get credentialed in another, in these kinds of professions. I mean, there's tweaks and differences here. Your degree is in psychology, so I've been around them more. It's educational psychology at USC. So it's through and this actually was, Dr. Vonda walked us through that a while back, is that, you know, it's not, it is it was like an educational psychology. And again, that a PhD, is, I mean, if you want to know more, you're going to have to go through the actual requirements that are on all of the different states pages. But, you know, PhD sets you up for some good shit, but it's what happens on the back end. And on the back end, is to have the clinical expertise. So that's the thing. And so to me, hang on, let me add this back. So, I mean, I think that there's just more, here's a link. So I'm sorry, Indy Cindy, what are you telling me? That he's not a PhD? I'm not sure what that is. It was through Dr. Vonda kind of walked us right. So he had a PhD in education, I believe. I know. Can you hear the bird? Maybe that's the Lort's way of saying get out. Right. I mean, so, but again, that's not a bar to entry. I guess is what I'm saying. If you had done all the additional work, the FOIA, yeah, and that's another thing. So nothing. I wasn't able to find anything, and those kinds of things. And I talked about that at the beginning of this live. So, you know, I think I went over that. So I don't want to necessarily want to go through all of that shit. But yeah, so that again, I'm not going to go through his bona fides. Yes, right. I listened to Dr. Vonda K, and she spelled it out pretty clearly, at least enough for me. So he has all his credentials. The critical step, I believe, is that he doesn't have the actual clinical work. So that we can see. And again, I don't know if we would see it, but I think that what my takeaway is that it is that the the thing that raises questions for me is like, well, wait a minute. If this person was on your dissertation and you also had a joint tenancy with this person, is that an issue? Is that problematic? Right? And so that was like, that struck me as deeply weird. Deeply weird, and I would think kind of problematic. But what the hell do I know? So let me see if there's any other bullshit I wanted to get through for today. No, I mean, I think that's, God, was that it? I think that might be kind of it for today. So I don't know. Is it something? It does seem problematic. But again, man. Yes. Yep. I do. ATS. He evaluated. Yeah. And so that's another. So I want to go back to the things that I have covered in past lives. And I was able to only find one instance of when he was a quote unquote expert at the federal level. And that was in 2009. And I think I believe that's right. And there's a whole playlist, and I can't remember which one it is, but I brought that forward. And then the other one was that horrible, I think there were 2 states cases that, and I'm not the only one that did this. Everybody else was kind of looking at this stuff, that the court was basically like, yeah, you didn't use the right test here, sir. But that tracks as well, because when we looked at his psychology or his Strive Psychology website, he makes very clear that he doesn't like to use actual formal tools of the trade. So he doesn't like to use the, what do you call it? The, I don't know if it's the Minnesota, there's like all these different instruments. And he's like, yeah, you know what? I find these just don't work. Let me see if I can find that Strive Psychology one, because that was a humdinger. Let me see. I mean, it doesn't matter. It exists in the world. Let's see. Just going through my notes. Does anybody have questions that, I mean, I don't know if I'd be able to answer them, but I just know, you know, all right. This is one thing that I kind of used as a guard, as my initial sort of guide. Hang on. I keep saying hang on. Sorry. That's rude as hell. Remove. There is his bio that really sort of was like, huh? Where he lays out, well, actually, I'm just going to have to read it. So it's from his 2006 to, hang on a second, let me see. Oh, there were 2 other things. I'm trying to validate, again, going back, trying to validate some of the claims that he's made. Let's see, there's family. He did at one point have a Medicaid number, but it was only for a year, which is like, okay, great. You did a thing. Let's see, SafeNest screenshot. And I think I did share last week that I did find he was actually paid once by the state of Utah to do something. I don't know what it was though. So in just trying to figure out what is real and what is not, and trying to validate some of his assertions, I found this was the only payment I saw of any work that was done. That, he was hired for some $2,500 worth of work in Kane County, which I guess is southern Utah. I don't know, but that was in 2021. Again, this is through public databases, and to be a vendor with the state or the federal government, your name is going to be all over the place, because when you're paid with taxpayer funds, whether it's the people of Utah or, the feds, you're going to show up, because that's how accountability works. And accountability is important. All of this is all about the accountability of it all. And so it's, that payment is absolutely nothing. So, okay, he did some work for the state of Utah. DBA, Strive Psychology. Okay, great. So check. You've worked, I would expect to see the very same thing in Nevada. What I can tell you is, going through the very same database, the very same transparency portal that is on the Nevada website for vendors, he doesn't show up. He doesn't. In any of his previous iterations or LLCs, he started out as Odyssey Psychology or Odyssey Quest. Then he moved on to Strive Psychology. Then he moved on to Hidden Productions. And that's all in the Secretary of State's website in the state of Nevada. And every state has this. Every state has this kind of resources that you can look up. So, it's just, so 500 cases not able to be found, some high profile. I mean, I think that honestly, I wouldn't expect to find any confidential information that's out there. What I would expect to find is his name to show up in court documents as an expert. Now, he claims that he did a lot of juvenile work, in which case, I guess we wouldn't see it. But then again, we're right back at sort of the starting point of having to take his word for it. And frankly, to me, I don't think he's earned it. Gross. I mean, and the thing is like, my thought on the fact that he doesn't really show up in the public record means that he's just not interesting. It doesn't mean that he's necessary. Well, okay. Separate and apart from the fact that he's really leaning into his, fart sniffing Socrates of it all, right? And Plato and all this creamy, steamy bullshit. But other than that, he's not published anywhere. I would expect a dude like that to be publishing like all of his thoughts, hopes, dreams to journals. Not even not even necessarily peer reviewed. But I did some I'm just not seeing anything. Let's see what Dr. Macy says, because I am not a doctor. So I think Dr. Macy, I'm not sure what Dr. Vonda said, but the counseling programs are in educational department at USC. Right. And I believe yes, right. And I think you had mentioned in my comments that you went 10 years apart. And I think Dr. Vonda was pointing out that at some point there may have been, you could pick one or the other and each were valid. It just, again, the back end stuff. So thank you for clarifying that. Again, not a doctor. Herder of cats. Busy day out there for the ambulances. Oh my God, it's like 185 degrees out. So, So what else? What else? It's all out there. It just takes some time. And yeah, this has been a long one. Yeah. So all of this, and I do think that the thing that, you know, I'm just reading from his Fact LV. So the Fact Family and Child Therapy, Las Vegas. And oh, by the way, Fran was a former executive director of this. I don't know how all this works. I really don't. It feels weird to me. I don't know if they were in a relationship, but I'm telling you that joint tenancy plucks at my property law ears, because that's a choice. But I'm just going to read from it because it's a document. It's like a Word document, and I just am too tired and lazy and old to switch it out. But it says, let's see, clinical director, psychologist John Matthias, PhD, graduated from Princeton University, but that's not where he got his PhD, right? Ugh. Okay, with high honors for his undergraduate work with distinction from the University of Southern California with a doctorate in psychology. Okay, he has been actively practicing as a therapist since 1995. I don't see how. How is that possible? So that's when, so just, you're going to have to go back and just play this all through, because I'm like, this is where I started from. I'm like, how is that? Tell me how that's possible though, sir. Tell me how that is possible. Because that seems to be 1 year before you graduated. What are you suggesting? I mean, I don't know. Ugh. It's just, it goes on. He's worked with child sexual abuse and childhood trauma for over a decade. And this was from, I think, 2012, from the Fact website. And I'm like, but you would need to show some, I just, again, where's the training that says that? Were you working at a place that worked with people who had been sexually assaulted and abused? Probably. It's just, I don't know. Am I making too much out of this? People, thoughts? Because it just feels really wrong to me. What are you guys saying? Okay. Salty, let's see. Salty says, been listening while preparing for my show. Thank you, Andy. You're doing the Lord's work. Well, I mean, I think this is more than enough for people to do their own research, right? So Dr. Macy is saying, yes, it's a legit psychology degree, but in counseling, right? Which is not clinical. And that again, yes, very good point. It's not clinical, and it's not forensic. And so I pointed out too, where there is a separate in Nevada and he claimed to be, and again, UNLV, what are you doing? I mean, I would think, get your shit together, man, because he's saying in 2021, when I pulled that document up, that he was a certified examiner. And I'm like, but you have to do these X, Y, and Z things though, to become that. And did he do that? Because he's not bathing himself in glory with all those publicly information. And so again, when you make hay out of getting federal funding, that's a higher level of scrutiny. Oh my God, this big bunch of cat hair. When you place yourself as a doctor intentionally, very intentionally, by the suggestion of Trisha Griffith, allegedly, you are then, but again, you're presenting yourself as an expert in something that's incredibly serious. I mean, Any idiot out here can be a reporter. I mean, truly, you don't need to go to J school. I didn't. But it makes me, it makes me really uncomfortable what he's saying. And again, whatever relationship he may or may not have had prior to Lauren is immaterial. What is material, I would think, is, were you shacking up with your supervisor? Ooh, does it make me feel good on the inside? It might not be an APA accredited program. There are lots of programs that are. You pay as much to go there. Master's, different university, PhD, because there is no way. Valley Flats, God damn it. Get out of the bushes. Get out of them bushes. Have you seen some of the earlier vids? He will list all of his valor and forget to say forensic. Well, again, speaking of valor, if you say you worked at the VA, I'm going to need to see that. And maybe you did your internships there, but say that. Everything that he said so far, I can find paper on his joint tenant. I can find all the licensing. I can find all of that in the state of Nevada, where he claims to have done all this stuff for 30 years. I think that the one thing that I can say definitively is that you haven't been doing this work. You haven't been doing forensic work for 30 years because you could not have, under the laws laid out by the state of Nevada. Could you have been training to do something? Sure. Why not? But I mean, am I sniffing glue? I could be. Isn't the act crazy? Well, I'm constantly mentoring students to keep an eye out for non-accredited programs. Don't even pay them an application fee. So interesting. What do you, I'm assuming that USC is accredited. Okay, so let's see. Boo Boo's Roo says, John literally says he has 25 years of experience doing clinical forensic evaluations and federal court evaluations. Where is the long-term employment? Random sparse employment, it seems. And again, I'm not the end all be all, but looking through Lexis, I could only find one place where he showed up in the federal, and this was like for a span of, I think, 14 years, where he only showed up once in the federal database as having input on one case. And I think I want to say it was like a workers' comp situation, which is, it's fine, but it's like a little bit of something goes a long way. Kelly Kelsey. John needs to get out of his super. God damn it. Valley Flats. Ah. Ooh. Now it's the snark portion, right? John needs to get out of his supervisor's bush. Joint tenants. Maybe it's just because I'm fresh out of property law, but I'm like, that's a choice when you have tenants in common. That's choice. My mom told me once that when a man gets to a certain age, say mid 40s, whatever, having not ever been married, you got to be careful. And that's why I was like, how has this guy never been married? Well, maybe he had long-term relationships. And it seems like maybe one of them, at least, was allegedly his supervisor, which is not great. You know, he makes a lot of claims about public policy and he's really involved in all this shit. Again, the woman who is his joint tenant absolutely is. She is in the public record. She's on board. She's doing work and doing good work from what I can tell. He's nowhere. How does that happen? I don't know, man. Feels pretty sketchball. So what else? So thank you, Janice, for that. My God. I'm listening in the bushes. Any idiot can report on chocolate covered bacon too. But I do have to say, I love it. So he could counsel. So I understand. Right. So he could, but he didn't even have a marriage and family therapy license in the state of Nevada. He doesn't. He didn't because it would be there. It would show up. Wouldn't go away. Look, I didn't say he's a lying liar who lies, but I'm saying that what I've been able to find in the public record, which everybody can go and check for themselves, you don't have to take my word for it at all, is that he is at best absorbing others' work that he was adjacent to. At worst, ooh, not great. Ooh, not great. And Grizzly says he made tea in an office where the right. That's kind of what it feels like. He made tea in an office where they did forensic psychology. Ergo, it just in Jersey or Mass, right? I didn't find anything. It's interesting that you say that because I did look in that area and I saw nothing. Again, maybe he was doing internships, but I didn't find anything. And there's no central repository for, there's actually something called, oh shit, I can't remember it, but you can opt into it. It's like a psychology sort of clearinghouse where you can go across the US and check anybody's credentials across whatever. So you can opt into this. I think it became a thing, and this could be wrong, during the pandemic because there was a lot of teletherapy and whatever going on. So they needed something that would link. And he's not a part of that, which is neither here nor there, but that's an easy way to kind of check for a national level. But there's nothing for forensics. There's a bunch of disparate bodies that do the forensic stuff. But again, I've seen nothing that indicates that he's certified as an examiner by the state of Nevada based on their requirements to apply through a separate body outside of the Board of Psychologists. I don't know. It's I didn't find anything. I've not found any publications. And again, he's made claims in various places about his extensive research. And I'm like, you really, now that is something that you cannot hide. If you've done, like I've done tons of research. I've done tons of research into cats. I've done a bunch of research into cats that lay on their back for no apparent reason. I've done research on a lot of shit. But until you publish it, you have to, for you to, God damn it, sorry. For you to publish, for you to say that you've done extensive research, okay, again, so have I. Cats. I've looked up couches on Wayfair. I've done a lot of research. But unless you publish that, in a peer-reviewed journal, or at least are on some record somewhere as part of a group that's conducting research, then your research is for shit. Maybe it's different for psychology, but I can't imagine that it is. I mean, not even like a literature review, right? Like a research study doing a literary survey. Like none of that I've been able to find. Maybe it doesn't mean shit. Yeah. Once again, I'll refer you to this book that I quoted from the other day when I was talking about his wilderness camps from 2010. Let me see. Oh, yes. Let's see. Gospel according to Andy Kopsa. So when I quote from books, it's only when I'm in it, and this is it. It's just a slender volume of whatever. So anyway, what else? What's everybody doing? I was like, what are you doing this weekend? I'm like, it's Wednesday, but it is 4th of July. It's hotter than hell. Everyone stay plenty cool. Check on your geezer neighbors. Check on your geezer family, whatever. You know what? Lover of bad puns. That is a really good point. I've noticed that too. I was listening to something. He's like, this is from 2003. I'm like, bitch, please. No. Get yourself a subscription to like Sage, whatever. Thumb through a recent survey. It's weird. Why would you cite to that unless you're going to, it's just weird to me. Just weird. And it's so, Aw, your geezer neighbor passed away. Aw. Ooh, strange noises. Okay, well, get your EVP shit together. What else? Kelly, when are you doing your next law machine? Oh God, don't look. And Kelly, don't get me started. I need to go. Actually, what I need to do for just some fun is go find where John quotes to the UK stalking standard, because I would like to talk to somebody about that. I would need to speak to his manager, because that is actually something I know about. And I would love to see what he had to say. The response video. Ugh. I'm sure it was great. Oh, the 4 Fs. I would then ask him to go look up the Naughton rule. Then I would go ask him to look at the Naomi Campbell case, not just at the UK level, but then I would ask him to go and refer to when they were still in the Union, the European Court of Human Rights, and see what the Brits think about what actual privacy means. I am going to go ahead and look at that, because I can tell you one thing. Hey, Indy, thank you. Oh, here, I can tell you one thing is that the level, the bar in the UK is so high. It's so high. And I think it's actually been revised. The statute had been introduced in 1997, and then I believe it was revised in 2012. And let me tell you something. UK legal system, yes, we have a common ancestry. Yes, we are common law. But sir, get the fuck out of here with your bullshit. You cannot just cherry pick UK law because it's not like the United States. They don't have a constitution. They are a case law heavy jurisdiction. You turd. What? Oh, no. Ooh. You cannot cherry pick the law. Or you shouldn't. Jesus Christ. That makes me crazy. All right. Well, you know what? That's my next. Just too much to have to read so much case law to figure out what you're citing to is actually the chapter. But man, oh man, those mother scratchers love them some established case law. And I'm talking Magna Carta, bitch. So shut up. That is something I do know about. Fuck you. God damn it, Kelly Kel. Ew, I'm so gross out. God damn it. Well, what is he using UK stuff because he thinks that somehow none of us know where like the UK is, or that some of us wouldn't be able to look? They've got a really robust online presence over there. You can go read you some Hansnard and make sure you check. Make sure you check it out. But I'm going to actually go and look at that now. And then I will prepare as a palate cleanser, maybe tomorrow. Just absolutely taking a piss all over his UK pontificating. Because that is something I know a little bit about. Not a ton. But I am going to go. But I did want to say thanks again to Hybrid Pisces. Welcome aboard. And to Shirley Graff for the 5, and to whoever got those, and to Indy Cindy. I do appreciate that. I really do. And I appreciate you spending your time. The 4 Fs, yeah, 4 Fs. So buckle up, buttercups. Please record yourself watch. No, I'll lose my shit. Wait 2 seconds. Okay. What's that name again? Ancient. So I'm sorry if I didn't say hi to everybody. The LSAT machine. Yes, I love it. Absolutely. Kelly Kale. It's fun. It's fun. Yeah, link to Kelly Cal. Docket Decoder. Link to Docket. I link to Docket Decoder and all the things. And I'm going to go back and timestamp this. Sure. Everybody take care of one another. Don't be a dick. Denzel Lori, the UK stuff. Yeah, I'm going to look into that because makes me want to scrape my tongue. So as always, the Toots loves all of you. And unlike me, who absolutely